Oh, it is tasty.
Oh my God. Sorry, the reaction was too early. Let's get into it.
All right, guys, welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time here. The 2D Research Podcast, episode 5, baby. So stoked. We have a camera. Things are going forward. We're getting that equipment sorted out. Thank you for being here. We hit 29 subs, almost at that 30 mark. I think my mom is like 28 of them, but that's okay. That's cool.
My mom's probably a couple of them. Actually, I don't even think I've sent it to my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
She has no clue that you're famous. You're CEO
Mom,
of YouTuber right
I
now.
got 29 subscribers.
We're going to be starting off a little different this time. Normally, we just have like a single bottle we're trying. We save it for the end. We are doing Delahunt Fallen Skies.
Oh, we're giving it away?
We're giving it away, so
Okay.
we're sipping on them. We're going to get a feel for them throughout the entire episode. Never had them before, but we're not going to tell you until the end what we're doing for the pairing. You just know what we're sipping on right now. So
I got to say, though, now that like my reaction makes sense and they know what it is, I was taking the first drink. I was so excited.
your boy has been waiting for an IPA.
Just a familiar flavor.
I have been just forcing him down the path of sour this entire time, and like the occasional.
I wish I liked sours, man. Like, I used to really enjoy sour flavors. And when I first started drinking, whiskey sours were really good.
Yeah.
Now I just can't drink any of them.
But those aren't like sour.
I know, but they're more on the sour end, you know?
Right,
They
yeah.
got that little bit of tarty kind of...
That's like the gateway drug, I think, because
that's where you
sour
start.
beer, even like a lot of the sours we've had are like comparatively like mild sours, where some are just like stanky. Like this shit is like, it's been brewing.
Too hot to handle.
Like it was probably just a normal beer, and there's like, I'm gonna let this sit out in the sun for a couple years, see what happens. So, couple things we wanted to touch on today. A huge, massive, big one that everybody is already probably well aware of is the merge of Crunchyroll and Funimation. What do you think about that?
I didn't know it was happening until last week when we recorded and you told me that they were merging, and that's why I thought the Funimation one being on Crunchyroll, whatever. But I didn't know about it up until now. It seems good, though. I like that they already put stuff like Uzaki-chan and Mushoku Tensei onto Crunchyroll. I checked today. So Mushoku Tensei is on Crunchyroll.
So it's on Crunchyroll now. So to my knowledge, Funchyroll is still going to exist.
Funchyroll?
Funchy?
That's what they should call it. Funchyroll.
Funchy. So Funimation is going to stick around, but I don't think they're going to put new content on it. So they're giving away this thing where if you are a Funimation subscriber, you do not yet have Crunchyroll, you could expect to get, I think, like 60 days free on Crunchyroll. So everything like, I think even like Attack on Titan is like going to just be on Crunchyroll now.
Just exclusively.
Exclusively.
It was already on Crunchyroll, and I don't have any other platforms. So I didn't know if Attack on Titan... Well, I mean, I think it was like on Netflix or Hulu or something, right? Because usually some of those bigger name ones are...
I started it on Netflix, but that was like way back. I don't even know if it's... I imagine it's still on there. I think it's a multi-platform.
It's been on there at one point, though.
Absolutely. But, you know, it's like, it's news, but it's not like completely news. So Crunchyroll and Funimation have had this very like toxic relationship, just volatile ups and downs. So there had been Funimation shows on Crunchyroll prior, of course. I think when they started doing like VRV or Verve, they had Funimation under the roster, like how High Dive and what is it? Like, was Rooster Teeth on there? Or?
I don't think so.
Or something.
I think
like
Rooster Teeth just more so became like a studio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else, but they had like, you know, game channels and whatnot, a bunch of random shit. But Yeah, that was on there at one point. Went off. They parted ways, went separate. Now, I think Funimation is buying Crunchyroll, right? Are they like purchasing them?
I don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is business jargon, but it's a merger. So somebody definitely has power over the other, and I'm assuming it's Crunchyroll because they're
You would think
kind
so.
of just giving up on Funimation and moving to Crunchyroll. You think if Funimation was on the other end of it, they would be trying to transfer all of Crunchyroll users to Funimation.
Yeah, so now it's this weird gray area. We don't know what's going to exactly happen because I know Funimation was kind of blanketed under Hulu for a while too before it became like a standalone platform that was relevant. It was like if you wanted Funimation, you go to Hulu. So,
well, that might just be it, is that like Funimation started as a sub, well, not started, but you know, their introduction into the streaming platform was under the umbrella of Hulu, and then they tried to go off and do their own thing, but maybe they're shifting back into just being a provider instead of like delivering the streaming content. They're just like squashing that and saying, we're not going to do our own thing. We're just going to link up with Crunchyroll. So now it's pretty much just, they went from Hulu. There was like an interim where they tried to do their own thing, and now they're going on to Crunchyroll.
yeah, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out if they're still going to bring back like that little intro before everything. I think they will because that's on like everything, but just like they're desperate, just reach, call for attention. It's like the transient on the train tracks. So like, you know, just like, can I have some change? Like, you should be watching. Like Crunchyroll didn't have to tell you to watch, but Funimation is like, no, please. Like, you should be watching. Like, our numbers are going down. We need help here, pal. Like, please, you should be watching this.
But Funimation isn't just like a streaming thing, right? What is Funimation? Like, is it a production company? Is it an animating studio?
So Funimation, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I believe it is kind of like the middleman that ports Japanese animation and brings it to a Western platform.
So it's actually just that. It's not like they don't do anything else.
I don't think they're a studio. I think it's just exclusively kind of that mediation platform, but that's something we could definitely research and look into a little bit more. Don't quote me on all of that, but yeah, right now it's kind of like just the two giants are coming together on that one, and we see little High Dive over there is kind of like the dark, sinister cousin, you know, that's just like, it's going to be my chance someday. Just wait for it, guys.
I'm sorry, I looked it up. Funimation kind of just, like you said, they do bring it to Western. They focus on like the dubbing and stuff like that.
They're the dub kings.
Yeah,
like,
so they might just be kind of, you know, Crunchyroll might be absorbing that into their dubbing and delivery to Western audiences department, which is what I would think because, you know, Crunchyroll, they're keeping the name, you know, there's no rebranding going on. It's just Funimation is kind of like being given up on. It'll still be around, but it's not going to be around, you know?
It's like the clash of the titans here, where isn't that a thing in Attack on Titan? It's like if you consume a specific titan, you acquire that ability.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically what Crunchyroll is doing, is being like, hey, listen, our dub game lacking. We need to pull Funimation on board, and they just bought that shit up.
Because Crunchyroll, let's be honest here, like their whole kind of like interface is shit when it comes to different languages. Like sometimes you click on a title and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this is all Portuguese dub. Like, and it's all separate. It's not like you get the option to change your language preference. It's like separate videos, which is a pain in the ass. Because sometimes you're looking for a new episode and you have to go through like 20 different languages.
Or when you're when they put dubs at a later time, you'll get that notification. You'll get hit with that 12 new episodes of Rising of the Shield Hero. And I'm like, oh shit, it came out. And then I go and it's just the German dub. And when you look at like the total episodes in the show, it doesn't show you the total episodes. It shows you how many are on Crunchyroll. So if there's 12 episodes in a series and there's 5 different languages, there's, what is that, 60 videos, but there's only 12 episodes. So I go into things thinking they're going to be longer, but then season 2 is just a dub. So
yeah,
I don't think that necessarily has to do with the actual dubbing of the anime, just so much as the, like, that platform needs an update. Yeah, you just need to be able to change the voice, the audio from the settings, like most places.
Right. Yeah, definitely it needs that little bit of a facelift, but I mean, not the only thing that's annoying fans right now, but with a lot of titles like Jobless Reincarnation, Mushoku Tensei, which we're going to talk about a lot here, is that we're seeing these prolonged, extended release dates. And we were looking into it because we're like, why do these take so long sometimes for one season to the next? And we got a couple answers out of it. I know there was something with like the voice acting, right? Dubbing?
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily has to do, if you wanted to hold on to that, I don't know if it has to do with why it takes so long. It's just a wage thing. But we can touch on that right now.
Yeah.
If you want to, because it kind of has to do with the Funimation Crunchyroll merger. Because Funimation was really the company in question. That's the article I read, was people calling out that Funimation is notorious for not really paying their dubbers shit, which, I mean, they're a dubbing company. Maybe that's just what they turned into, and they've done other things in the past, which I'm sure is true, but that was kind of the company in question, and people were like, Crunchyroll, Funimation merging, maybe now they can finally pay the dubbing voice actors decent wages.
Right.
But I don't know if you saw anything about it, but I don't know voice acting prices and stuff, but they were saying like $35 to $75 an hour isn't unreasonable. It's just not livable for a voice actor.
Right, because it's contracted work, and it's something that I've
Lack
actually...
of benefits and stuff, too.
Yeah, because I've considered, like, voice acting, it was something I researched extensively, and it really is such a... There's no stability in it, especially as a dub voice actor. Yeah. If you're in the origin country, they get paid a little more, but even... I know the woman that voices Goku... that has, like, originally, she's the highest paid voice actress as far as animation goes, and Japanese animation, I should add. But she's paid roughly a little over $300K, which is really good, but that's like top sliver 1 percentile.
Most paid.
That's
great.
It's an anomaly, which you would think it would even be like, whoa, like you'd expect more. I mean, Dragon Ball, But
for just the voice acting, like just from that contract alone, that's pretty good. I'd say 300,000 is pretty good, because if you voice multiple characters, and it's one of those things too. It's, I don't know, it's just a hard ground for me to traverse. I don't really understand it very much, but I think the thing is that anime gets paid less for the dubbing, because like, dubbing Japanese commercials, dubbing Japanese video games, stuff like that, they make what they're saying they should make, but it's anime that I guess is the one that's behind.
Right.
It's not the whole scene in general. It's specifically the anime industry has been just scalping these people.
Yeah, and I mean, to provide a further argument too, you think of that's for a year's wage. So she makes over $300K in a year. Mm-hmm. Think of the appearance of a relevant actor and how much they make in a film, where she's memorizing scripts, she's working for an entire year for this, where some people can make a cameo or shoot for a few months and make significantly more than that to someone that I would say is a similar level of relevancy to like her and like her work. So
yeah,
I don't know all the analytics that go into it, like what deems somebody to be paid more if they're on screen or just voice acting in general. But yeah, I think it just gets progressively lower. You get to the dubbing end of it. But
with, I say all this is I don't really understand it, and 300,000 sounds like a really good deal and stuff, and I know a lot goes into it, and 300 is probably not like on the money to be the most paid voice actor.
Yeah.
But fuck, I just had something I forgot. I can't remember what it was.
But I did hear something interesting from you earlier when we were talking. You said there is going to be a voice actor, a familiar one,
well, yeah.
that's going to be touching on.
Yeah, well, we already touched on it in last week's recording that the week prior to that was the Nier anime got confirmed.
Right.
And I learned just right now that 9S and Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul are the same voice actor, and there's a high chance that he's coming back to play 9S in the anime, which already, like, if they're going to bring back the original voice actors, I feel like they're really going to take their, like, put some passion into it, you know?
Yeah, that's a level of immersion there because it's the same voice you're hearing
Yeah.
throughout playing the game. And yeah, I don't know if that was just a white hair thing.
From what I read is that they originally, because the guy's name is Hane Natsuki,
Okay.
and they didn't originally want him to play 9S, but the reason why they went ahead and moved forward with it was because they heard his scream as Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul and said, okay, we want this guy to be 9S.
No kidding.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
His voice acting in Tokyo Ghoul got him the 9, which that's crazy. Can you, like, Tokyo Ghoul, the anime, is older than Nier. I know it came out in 2017, but it's crazy to think that Tokyo Ghoul has gotten that old.
Yeah, that's surreal. And I mean, hooked on something here, but Tokyo Ghoul 2, I mean, thinking about that scream, sometimes Kaneki's like screaming like 5 fucking minutes, just like that's pretty impressive.
And that's another thing with the voice actors too, is they were saying, characters for shows like that and Dragon Ball Z and stuff, they, sometimes they have issues with their throat, and like they don't have benefits, they don't have this healthcare and stuff to manage, long-term screaming, going Super Saiyan 29. And I think the thing is, it's not like the push isn't for Sony because that's the major backer of these companies. They have the money to pay these people, but Sony isn't. They're not going to hire up all these people. They're talking about unionizing. So making a voice actors union that Sony approaches, and the union says these are our rates, these are the benefits we want to give to our people, and multiple companies fund this. It's a union. So it's not even just like saying, oh, you got to hire all of these voice actors, full-time schedule, full benefits. Like that's what, the unionization is for. People are really pushing for it. And I think a lot of these finer details that people kind of overlook is, we talk about the animators a lot. We talk about voice actors every so often, but subtitlers barely get any love.
Yeah.
There's so many facets of the production of anime that I don't think get the credit they deserve. And,
I think it's draw it, voice it. That's what's in your mind when you imagine animation. Like, oh, there's just one guy drawing it, one guy voicing it, but there are so many tiny moving parts involved in the process that are often overlooked. And like what you mentioned about the benefits, I never thought about that. Mm-hmm. Somebody damages their voice, or of course
it's on them. They have to pay for it.
They're on a schedule, and I imagine, if you're sick, you're a little raspy, but you have to do this part, you're pushing.
Yeah.
You're not staying home.
Even some of them, you've seen the clip of the voice actor for Goku or whoever, someone, I think it was Goku going Super Saiyan, and
dubbed or subbed?
Dubbed.
Okay,
it was the dubbed one, but he passed out from it. I'm pretty sure there's some stories about the Japanese voice actors doing that too, but because it's such long screams, and one of the cool parts of those videos was like, oh look, he did the scream all in one take. And like they pass out at the end of it because it's just.
They should have left that in. Imagine how anticlimactic it would be if he's like, ah!
Well, I think he
just out.
I think they did use the take. If I remember, it's been like 10 plus years since I saw the video.
Slap him awake. All right, you got 10 more seconds, boy. Get on here,
But I think he hit the end. Like the crazy thing was he did the whole take going Super Saiyan or one of the iterations, in one take. But at the end of it, after like they had gotten what they needed, he's just after he belted out the last bit of the scream, he just passed out. I think they used it. I'm not sure, but regardless, that's a lot of damage to the vocal cords. Yeah. I don't care what your technique is. Screaming like that, especially in a show that requires you to do so as consistently as Dragon Ball Z, Give the man some health care. Let him see an ENT. Come on.
I imagine those episodes where there's like very little screaming. They're just like, all right, boys, it's a good day. Drinks on me.
It's like a day off for them.
Yeah. But yeah, to kind of clarify too earlier, I was saying that, dubs could prolong animation. So for a dub scenario, yes, but I was also talking about the shows in general. So just the much anticipated season 2, 3, 4s that we're looking forward to. Why do these things take so long? Sometimes as fans, we're frustrated. We're like, we're given something so great, so heavenly, euphoric, that escapism that takes us away from our monotonous, shitty lives. And then it's taken from us. We're clicking that next episode button. What happens? A preview to some fucking show you don't even want to watch. So it begs the question, what is taking so long? And there's a couple good answers to that. So something that we've realized by looking into it as far as animation studios go, I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this.
Probably not.
But they're contracted. Most of the animators, about like over 90%, are contracted animators, which means they're not exclusive to this animation studio. They're not even employees. They were hired by the studio to work on this project, and then they work on something else. So sometimes another project comes up, or they, have half of them or less or more, and there's a lot of variables there to where, there's a few employees kind of trucking along on it, but they have to wait on these other people, or there's no show.
Yeah.
And that's out of their control. We do see some exceptions there. Interestingly enough, with Mushoku Tensei, we are waiting for it, but what's so fascinating about it all is they created the animation studio with the intent of doing continuous series, especially that one, because it was such a major success, and the director of it all had worked on other long-standing series. So you find that, okay, we're going to get it, but when?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, it takes time. And it's frustrating because, even just the most recent one, like after last week's anime awards, we sat down and, we made a 3-day binge of Mushoku Tensei.
We talked, that's right, because we had mentioned, oh yeah, we haven't seen this, but it seems like a lot of people want this on there, so we decided to watch it.
I was actually just editing it, so it's fresh in my mind of what we said, but we were literally talking about how we see it and like, well, why haven't we watched this? Like, it's people are raving about it, and it just hasn't hit my radar. It's the first time I've heard the name, and we sat down and watched it, and it was fantastic. So
my God,
I definitely understand. Like, after hitting the last episode, I wanted more, but I gotta understand. It takes time. It takes time. The way the studios work and the contract work, and just the way the anime industry is currently. I would prefer to wait 2 years between seasons than get something just pumped out.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially a show like this. This is one you don't really know what you're getting into. At least I didn't. Like, yeah, I think a lot of people watch episode 1. They're like, oh, pervert baby, skip. But there's so much more to it, and it was so groundbreaking as far as isekai go, because it treaded on its own path. It followed a different drum path. I mean, it's so interesting that, it's not even that new. It was set to release in 2020, like the premiere.
Yeah, but it came out in 2021, right?
Right. Or excuse me, maybe 2019. I'm gonna look into that again. But I think it was a couple of years prior to it being released, so it wasn't like brand new, hot off the press.
Yeah.
This was one we kind of had to sit on and wait for, and people had been reading. But man, it goes deeper than you think it will. Like, what were your initial thoughts when we were watching it?
I mean, it started hitting some pretty individual like it stood out from the rest of the isekai branch in a way that I think can only really be done as one of the trendsetters. It didn't feel like it was playing into a trope too much. It made this isekai guy dies and is reincarnated trope that I've seen in plenty of other shows up until, not knowing that, it was mostly popularized by this series when it was written. It felt fresh, but it was something that I have seen so many times from the other similar ones that I can't really pinpoint what it is about it. It just seems natural, It's not trying
Definitely.
to fit into the trope. It is the trope.
It couldn't have said it better. It really comes down to, and I think this is very prevalent in a lot of isekai anime, because I watch all of them. When they come out, I watch them, even if
Same.
they're kind of shitty. I'm a
Same.
completionist. Roll it out. But one thing you'll notice is a recurring theme in a lot of them is that the characters, especially the side characters, maybe not the protagonists, but the supporting characters are not very memorable. They're kind of, and like especially like I'm going to say NPC, but like, the background characters
Yeah.
are like very not memorable.
I was going to say in the protagonist circle, I feel like they always have some at least kind of two-dimensional characters. Like they have a side and another side. And then the background characters are just totally flat.
Yeah, and they just, here's red hair character, blue hair character, fire, water.
I thought you were talking about like right now, like, oh, here's redhead character.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
I'm just,
who's here?
I'm having a psychotic episode, as during this episode, but no, you look at that and it's just not captivating. Like there's so many times, especially one thing that gripes me is when oftentimes in a fantasy setting, you see like the enemies are very generic too. Very generic orc, generic goblin, generic red dragon. Like I like when you could watch a series and you know where that dragon's from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's more impactful that way. Or like a demon lord that you know where he's from. My God, there's so many demon lords now where certain ones, you could throw them in the haystack and I couldn't tell you what they're from.
Honestly, yeah, with a lot of isekai, and there's a bit, and I'll tell you later, but with a lot of isekai, it's become a blur with a lot of them, Like I couldn't tell you the great mages, the wise man's grandchild, the in another world with my smartphone, all of those ones. I couldn't tell you plot points from those without thinking they were from the other ones.
Right.
But I feel like that's what Mushoku is that like it is very memorable because the story is there, it is the story. It's not the iteration of it to capitalize on the cool concept and just, because Konosuba kind of took the idea, but Konosuba is a hilarious show. They did a
Right.
great job, but you're not watching Konosuba for the character development or for the story. You're watching it because haha funny darkness. It likes being beat up.
Right.
It's humorous, but with Mushoku, it has the comedy. It has the real shit, And I feel like throughout this whole season, like once we started getting towards the end, these last couple episodes, it's as if the whole show was just building up to now here's the real show. And from what you were telling me, it seems like that happens a couple times throughout this show, which makes it new, interesting. It builds on these characters. They spent time on them. It's not just like Aqua, worthless god that we can just easy throw away, make jokes about, and she'll get looted to all hell on the internet. Perfect. Great show. I love it, but Mushoku Tensei really did something special.
It steps above that. It kind of transcends that. It's just comical because there is a lot of comedy in it, but it does stand to the greats with me. And I say the greats, and of course this is personal opinion to a lot of people, but you cannot deny when you think of isekai, you think of Sword Art Online,
Yeah.
as far as, although he wasn't transported, he was in another world, but you think of just memorable characters, memorable, antagonist bosses. If I saw like a Sword Art boss, I would know instantly it's from Sword Art. Shield Hero, I feel like, is another one that's captivating, where it's like he's the, typical loser guy. Yeah, wakes up in another world, but like he goes through some shit. And he's like spiteful, and it creates this character where it's not like I feel like so many times they're enjoying life because they're like, yeah, I have all these new powers. Woo! King of the world, baby! And then you look at him and it's like, no, he's fucking jaded, miserable. And, bringing it back to Tensei, then you see a little bit of both of that, which I think brings it to another level. He is stoked to get a do-over, be in this other world. But at the same time, he's experiencing heartache and trials and tribulations that he hadn't in his previous life even.
Yeah.
So you see the ups and downs.
And another big point of like, not only does he have those new trials and tribulations that he has to go through, but what you also don't see a lot of in Isekai is he has to deal with his problems from the old world.
Yes.
It's not just that second episode flashback. This is a recurring thing where, every time he's going to see the man god, which from this point on, we might just dribble in spoilers just from excitement.
Right.
But when he goes to see the man god and he's in his original form, and the reason why he hates being there so much is because he hates being reminded that of his previous life, of the, quote unquote piece of shit that he used to be. He wasn't a terrible person. He just, shit happens. He wasn't like a great Nobel Peace Prize winning person, but it's just the concept that people can change, and he didn't get transported to this new world with all these great powers and okay, now everything's great. The problems from his previous life still had to be dealt with.
Right.
Which I think I saw somebody talk about, and I feel like that is a hugely important part to this, is that a lot of isekais just say, oh no, don't think about the real world because, you can just go into this new world and everything will be fine. Even the hardships, it's new world. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't want to say realism because anime is not real, but
realistic qualities.
It's just the idea that he has to do, grapple with those things.
So it's almost as if in this new life, he is kind of digging up the dead as far as aspects of his previous life and his previous character and working through them now as a different person, but of the same mind and soul. And, I think we should only touch on this briefly, but this kind of ties into the idea of why a lot of people don't give it a chance and like being like a problematic anime. You hear that term a lot, problematic. Like things that you see or watch where you're like, oh, that's not okay. That's not appropriate. I'm cutting this off. And this one was kind of pushed into that box by, I don't want to say many, but, a good handful of people for some of its insinuated scenes, innuendos. There is a lot of kind of that, stumbled upon you while you're taking a bath, woo, kind of deal, where he's instantly marked as like this pervert. Like, oh, he was this old ugly guy in his past life and now he's perverted and blah, 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 and groping and all this. But I think the real take from it is that they did portray him as he wasn't a bad guy, like you said. And he tried to do a lot of, righteous, outstanding things in high school. And he was bullied because of it and shamed for it. And he's a very traumatized and damaged individual. But the takeaway from all this is that through his other life, he's able to face those things head on and improve upon them, become a better person.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should discount that. Even in real life, if you see somebody that, has some things where you're like, hey, that's not cool. And, tendencies or just, the type of personality and character they are, don't write them off where it's like they can't improve upon it.
Yeah.
That's their choice. They have to want it. But this guy's just another example of that. To the point of, we all know Twitter, just the bullshit. Everyone is just upset about everything on Twitter. That's why people go on Twitter. And the author even came out and said, look, I can understand and respect if you just see this guy as the perfect baby and you write off the show. That's fine. But just know, I wanted to create kind of this parallel, this juxtaposition of this character that was, kind of immature in this and all that into his adulthood and became something better and learned from it and grew from it.
And I think
that's awesome.
Like the real big point there is that, it's not like anybody's going to get a chance to be transported magically to another world. I mean, hey, not impossible, but I'm not itching to find out, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
speak for yourself,
it's
bro.
it's very prevalent in those later episodes when he's talking about Ghislaine with the Dordia people, Doldia, the beast people in the forest. He has that whole moment with Ghislaine's older brother saying people change, I knew she was rabid and animalistic when she was here and didn't want to do anything, but now that she's had all these years in between, Ghislaine's brother is still viewing her in the way that she was when she was in the village, but since she's left, she's become respectable. She's learned reading, arithmetic, writing, all of these things, and he's just like, I can't believe that. And he's telling him people change, and I feel like that's more internalizing for himself, that he doesn't have to have this imposter syndrome that even in his first whole life he wasn't able to accomplish. I think it kind of touches the aspect of, you don't have to figure these things out by 20 or 30. I mean, hopefully you don't have to die and go to another world to figure them out, but I mean, even older people, can realize that they have understood something incorrect to their self and change from it. We're all given that opportunity. I think it's right. A seriously important anime, I think.
I honestly, yes, and I'm so glad you brought that up with that scenario with the beast people, and kind of it just shows in a multitude of ways the entire show, and this is where I think people are missing out or missing the point. The entire show is about redemption, second chances, and most importantly, like forgiveness. Where you see, her name's slipping me.
Eris?
No. The beast woman.
Tona.
No, the one Ghislaine.
Oh, yeah.
Ghislaine, just like how her brother went from like just hearing her name and getting pissed off to eventually over the course of months seeing the type of person she was through the sword technique that was demonstrated through Eris, and them talking of her in high regard, and eventually being like, if you ever see her, let her know she's welcome here.
Yeah.
She could come back. And you see that especially with and I'm being terrible with names right now, but that demon race, green hair, superb. You see, that's a redemption story. Right there. These people that had slaughtered and just killed off all of these other races in this giant war, nobody knowing they were really innocent the entire time. We're really getting into spoiler territory here, but just the idea that nobody knows that it was out of their control, but they're hated because of it for centuries.
Yeah.
And them trying to make a difference and fight the prejudice and be like, look, I'm just like you guys, and let's put this under the bridge, and like you said, important. It's an important anime.
Yeah. Story overall, though, just obviously, people way deeper into the enjoyment of it than we are, because, we're a little late to the party. I'm glad it was animated. It was animated beautifully. I think they really delivered. I mean, there are scenes in this show where just multiple times an episode, how many times did I just kind of look over at you and be like, this is fucking beautiful? And how many nights, we sit down, watch, like, hey, we're just going to watch an episode or two, knock out 10 in a single night.
We got to work the next day, and we're just next, and we just look at each other, and you're like, dude, it's like, I got you. Just
what are you doing? The next button isn't going to press itself.
Right.
Go to the next episode. And just, I know I'm kind of sporadic right now, but on that topic of just going to the next episode, a beautiful thing about the show is that they incorporated the opening song
Yes.
as a part of the animation.
Never have to skip the opening again. And that's coming from somebody. I always watch openings,
And I hate watching
even as
them.
redundant ones, but I love the songs. But I saw this, you saw this, we were looking at each other like, wait, is this just the opening, just playing the song over kind of the happenings?
They still keep like some sound effects and some, like, you get dialogueless lore building through the opening, which I think is just huge because it's not directly giving you what happened. You know, there's some episodes where it, like, the intro explains something that happens and then the opening shows you the flashback and it's just them going through their travels, like Paul and Norn getting teleported in the Mana disaster together. I think the intro shows you their, like, after their Rudy and Paul's reunion at the end of one of the episodes, the next intro is Paul's experience and why he was so disheveled and you know, he'd lost his whole family and didn't know where they were. And
it really just claps out to the studio. Like,
they did phenomenal
because intros are like first impressions. They really are an important part of it, where 99% of the time assume if you start a show, like you're on episode 1 and an intro plays before the show, that it's not that great of a show. Like, it's not very deep.
Yeah, you can't.
It was just like a slap together.
You got to give me like an introduction.
Because most shows, run the episode and then might play a little bit of the intro music at the end, and then you get an opening on episode 2 for more impactful shows. Because, you know, if it's just like some like quirky little dance in the beginning and then everyone dies in episode 1, it just wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But I think objectively, this is one of the better ways to do it.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. That was one of my favorite parts, is that, you know, because I do like intro songs. My thing is that it just feels like a waste of time for every single episode to have an introduction.
Right. Because a lot of times we're not just following shows that are coming out week to week, but you're finding one that you're like, how did I not know this? And you're binging it. Now you don't want to see all the intros.
I mean, that's 90% of how I watch anime, because I don't keep, you know this, I don't keep up week to week. I'll binge up until I'm caught up, and if a show is airing, then I wait another like month or two, because it's just how I find time to do it. I don't want to sit down and watch 5 different shows that are 20 to 30 minute long episodes and have all of these different stories going on in my head. I would rather just wait until there's 12 episodes that I can sit down and get the full story. It's the only way I actually retain what I'm enjoying, you know?
Right.
Because I don't want to just watch the episode and then next week have to be like, what? Even one of the times, like when we sat down to continue watching Mushoku, I was like, when did he get kidnapped?
Yeah.
And I had to like put it back together in my head. And that's the thing. Could you imagine if I was doing that every week, like with 5 different shows? I wouldn't be able to keep up. So yeah, having to watch the intro 12 times, it's just like, no, skip this. I'm just trying to get back to the story. Like, I was supposed to go to sleep 2 hours ago and I pressed the next button. I don't want to see the intro. I want plot.
Right. And you know, I'm kind of like teetering on the fence there. I do look forward to weeklies a lot of times, but I would much prefer to do the latter method of waiting patiently and being able to kind of watch it throughout its completion and like really retain the story that way. But some are just so like hot, like My Dress Up Darling, where it's like, that's one, but see, you know, the rom-coms, like,
it's different. It depends on the story. Like something like Mushoku Tensei, something like Attack on Titan, something like Demon Slayer, something like Jujutsu Kaisen. These aren't things I want to watch week to week because every single episode ends on a cliffhanger and I just want to see the next part of the story. Something like My Dress Up Darling, when the episode ends, I'm like, no, I want more, but I can wait a week, you know? I'm not itching to get that next segment of the story because I kind of know what it's going to be.
Right.
It didn't leave me with that cliffhanger. It left me with a very cute animation of Gojo saying, I thought you were beautiful. And it's like, whoa, shit.
Passing out on the train.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certainly there's no right or wrong. There's pros to cons to both, because I think with watching it weekly, you do experience a couple things. One of them being in the know, as far as you're not going to get spoiled before you even start the series because you're up to date. But there are ways around that, you know.
Don't use social media.
Yeah.
Lock your doors. Close your
Don't go
blinds.
outside.
Don't answer phone calls from
Wear
your
a
mom.
blindfold. Yeah. But the second part, too, I often enjoy is just the camaraderie aspect of it, where you see somebody and you're like, yo, did you see last week's episode? And like, it's a talking point.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen next? You know, so, but you put it very well. It's like certain ones are more suited for that. Certain ones are just, I mean, Psychopaths. I watched all of it in a day.
Psychopaths, Death Note, Steins Gate. Like, the list goes on of anime that is just, I'm so glad were completed when I found them so that I could just watch them all. Because the thing is, with those impactful shows, you know, I want to have a discussion about it. I don't want to have a discussion about the episode like, oh yeah, bro, that was so cool what this guy did. You know, with those shows, I would rather like a completed series and sit down with somebody and be like, we both like this. Like, how did you feel about it? Like, what are your favorite parts? Who are your favorite characters? Have the whole conversation, you know?
All right.
But with things for me that I watch week to week, like, yeah, those are fine. Like, nobody I know watches My Dress Up Darling, but, you know, I keep telling them, I'm like, have you guys been checking out My Dress Up Darling? Because that's something that week to week I could be like, did you catch that new thing? And we could have like a quick 5 to 10 minute discussion about the episode and be done with it. But with the more impactful ones, the ones I feel more strongly about, it's like I can't just have that 5 to 10 minute interaction every week, because it's just going to be the same thing. You know, it's going to be like, I want next week's episode. You know, this was cool. This was what happened. But you just have such a small source material of shit to talk about with it, watching something week to week, you know. But that's just me. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who can watch things week to week and have plenty of long hour discussions, you know, talking about their favorite facets of the show and stuff. But I'm just more of like a bigger picture, like, oh yeah, but it's so crazy that like Eren Yeager was good and then he was bad.
Yeah. So, you know, it really just makes me think of one other exception too. I think as far as episode to episode, every week, if you were a manga reader prior, so if you already know the story for the most part that's going to play out, and you just want to see it animated, you probably don't mind just watching it, you know, once a week, because you're not like biting your lip in anticipation, like just like what's going to happen.
You know what's going to happen.
You already know.
You just want to see it animated. That makes sense. I didn't because I don't read much manga. I mean, I love reading manga. I just don't keep up with it that much. It's hard. I used to love reading. And it's so hard for me to just sit silently and focus and retain something. It's a lot easier for me nowadays to sit and just let something be fed to me, which is unfortunate to say. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I don't think that has to do with my distaste in reading.
Yeah. You know, manga to me, so I've only ever finished one from start to finish, and that was Tokyo Ghoul. But I do read manga probably in a sickening way to a lot of people. They're like, why the hell does he read it that way? But when there's that one show where you know it's not going to be, the next season won't be animated for like a couple years, but you're just like, I need to know what happens. I'll find what chapter.
Oh, I do that too.
Okay, yeah.
Masamune Kun's Revenge.
Okay.
I did it with Nisekoi before I think they finished the animation.
Domestic Girlfriend was one.
Domestic Girlfriend.
Yeah, where it's like
Metamorphosis. Just continue.
Also known as Emergence. So, dude, don't look that up. But maybe you should. Sauce. Yeah. What's the numbers? What do these numbers mean? Anyways, so yeah, there are some where it's like, yeah, you just look up the chapter where it left off. I'll be honest, I did that with Demon Slayer. After this last season,
blasphemy.
I just really wanted to know what would happen. So I looked it up. I didn't go too far ahead, but I did read a few chapters of
Just
story.
a little taste, just so you
Yeah.
know more than the anime watcher.
I mean, there's times too. I feel like a lot of us are guilty of it. You're like, I really don't want to be spoiled right now, but I'm going to go on the character wiki, just to find out their age and stuff. And whoops, I saw a spoiler. And then like you keep reading into it and you're like, now you know the ending, and you like looked up the light novels, went on Reddit and confirmed, yep, that's how it ends. But like you're kind of hoping, you're pretending, you're just being coy with it. You're like, I really hope I don't see any spoilers, and then like you really want one to just hit you full frontal, just dragged across your face, like, oh, I didn't know that's really who the man god is. That's kind of what I did
shut
earlier.
Shut the fuck up, because you saw that earlier. I did not. I don't need to know.
That one was, I make the thumbnails more often than not, and I'm looking up pictures for, material, and there will sometimes be, that little kind of like quote, like the title underneath it, and I just happen to see it, and I'm like, oh shit. That's what that is.
Rudius is the man god.
No, that would be fucking hilarious, but
yeah. No, I don't want to hear any more of it. Let's move on.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's have a fresh start.
Do I need to bring up another topic? Because we just got kind of lost. I forgot.
Yeah, we're in the sauce a bit there.
Yeah, I mean, there's just two other things I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
I don't know if before the beer pairing you wanted to bring anything up.
That about sums what I had to bring to the table, but if you have anything else, let's throw it out there.
Yeah, just two things. One of them is really quick. We won't get too far into it, but I did 2 episodes ago. I'm pretty sure it was 2 episodes. I was talking about that Full Metal Alchemist announcement.
Ooh.
That was the live action looking Scar.
Yeah.
They just confirmed as of from the time I read the article 20 hours ago, a day before now. So this is going to be a week late, but there's 2 confirmed live action movies for Full Metal Alchemist coming in May and June. And I was talking about on that previous episode that the live action Full Metal Alchemist was the only one I enjoyed. They changed the story, a little bit too much out of my liking. But the CGI and everything, it felt very nice, It was cheesy, definitely cheesy. You're not going to get away from that with an anime live action.
Right.
But it was well done. I can tell they tried to maintain those, anime mannerisms and stuff to give you that feeling. So I'm glad that this is the one that is getting these 2 new movies. And they look pretty sick. I mean, definitely cheesy, don't get me wrong, but as far as live action anime goes, they look on the better end of the spectrum, and I'm kind of excited to see how they turn out, because the one in May is Scar's introduction story, so them fighting in the city with Scar.
Yeah.
And then the second one I think just jumps to the end of the series because it's called The Last Transmutation.
Okay.
And it's King Bradley fighting Ling and shit.
I'm excited. That's cool.
I'm excited to see the end of that series, some of those cool aspects acted out live action. The characters look great and everything. Some of the CGI looks a little wonky. I'm not going to say it's going to be oh my God, everybody needs to see this, but I am going to enjoy watching these 2 movies, and the fact that they just released it and they come out May, June of this year. At least I think it's 2022. May have said 2023, and I was just hell yeah. 2 months away.
Yeah.
Let's get it. But I'm pretty excited about it. Do you have any care about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's one where I could be stoked to watch it, just to see especially that part play out. That fight, I think, is going to be dope.
That's what that's going to be in June, I'm assuming, because it's going to go chronological, the Scar and everything, that whole arc is going to be in May, which is going to be sick. It'll be cool to see that kind of redone in live action. But I think the one in June, King Bradley, you got Ling, Father, all of these big name hitters. Just put Kimberly, Oh, well, I mean, I think that's going to be in the Scar one. So you know what? They might just be equally as good.
Yeah.
I don't know. They look fun. At the very least, they look fun. So I'm stoked on those.
One thing I guess I did want to bring up, just a real quick, just pick your brain a little bit. Best girl in Tensei. Who's best girl?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
'Cause I feel like we started at the same place and kind of ended in the same place, too.
I think overall, I'm still going to have to go Roxy. Just...
Okay.
I don't know why. I can't really elaborate on it too much. I think just not in the sense of like where the story goes. Where the story goes, I definitely think Eris. Just because after seeing all of they went through, Eris's character development, Rudy's character development, even Rugier in there with his character development, Paul, like everything that happened with this group in the latter half of the series just really hit me. But I think Roxy's just going to hold that place in my heart as like the,
Yeah.
I get it. He's got his little chest. He's got his little box.
What's in there? Who knows?
With his precious belonging. Watch the show. If you have a problem with the character being perverted, don't watch the show.
but
it's just, I feel like Roxy's tight as fuck, man. And the whole, like, I didn't even know that the Migurdians were telepathic. Like, and that's why she left her village, is because she couldn't communicate telepathically. And she felt, because the whole village is silent. They don't really use speech, like talking, to communicate there. So being the only person that talks in this dead silent town, like I kind of feel, like that's tough. You didn't learn that until the later end of the series as well. But I think you just get a lot more Eris screen time and character development and relationship growth with Rudy. Is that, I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy to say like Eris is my best girl right now, but I think Roxy still's got some punches to throw.
And then it's like Sylphie who?
Yeah,
it's like
Sylphie fucking who?
Sylphie, yeah, I mean, cool character, but it's like, yeah, she's so left out at this point where I think we get a little bit of a tease towards the end of season 2 that she's going to be introduced now, because
you hit it nail on the head when we were watching it. You were like, oh, Eris is leaving because now it's Sylphie and Zenith's turn. Like, we've got all the other characters. Now season 2 is going to kick off with their adventure.
But it still hurt.
Yeah.
It still hurt.
It was painful.
Now, just a random thought, but imagine that one live action. Like Tensei live action, it's like Eris being like, some actual woman, like, I want to have your kittens. Meow.
Go watch the show. Please go watch the show.
All right. So you said 2 things. Did you have something else you wanted to hit?
The other quick thing was just because, I have been fucking on my Elden Ring shit.
Ooh.
I have been disgustingly into the game now that it is out this week. And it just had to do with anime, and I saw it, and I wanted to bring it up because I thought it was really cool. The Berserk rider I was thinking of the voice actor for Kaneki. Hold on.
We're to get a name here, and we could talk about this stuff, okay? Because the Dark Souls series, it's 2D. We're the research club.
It's technically 3D, I think, but...
I mean,
it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, no, but I mean...
you see where I was going with it, and I failed miserably.
Yeah, well... But I think, and it's... I hate to do this to you as well, but the newer Berserk animation is also 3D.
Can we talk about it even?
The older one, I'm pretty sure, is 2D.
If we see like 3D, like CGI, I'd be like, yep. That's not a part of the club.
That's not real.
Can't talk about it.
No, you can't bring that.
If that, because I would say if that shit's on a screen, but there's a lot of things on the screen we don't talk about. We just talk about shit we like.
Yeah.
Okay. Anime at the forefront. Video games are right up there with it.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just a way to explain the topic of it, but regardless, it doesn't fucking matter. The Elden Ring put in a memorial for Kentaro Miura, that's the guy who wrote Berserk. And,
okay.
I'm not a huge Berserk fan. don't know much about it or anything.
Just listen to the Guts theme.
I don't even know that much. I've only watched a little bit of the newer 3D one, but I know it's, a beloved series. It's good. It's not really my interest, and I'll probably give it a watch eventually, but whatever. The creator died in May of 2021. And Elden Ring has a kind of subtle memorial to it. And I actually did this fucking area of the map just a couple days ago, and I completely skipped over this part. But if you go a little bit off the track before going to this castle, there's a Field of Swords, which is a kind of a reference from Miyazaki to the Hill of Swords in Berserk. And everybody was
Miyazaki?
It's Hideo Miyazaki.
Is it Miyazaki?
It's not Studio,
yeah.
Studio
I'm
Ghibli Miyazaki.
It's
another Miyazaki. I think the guy who did Resident Evil.
It's like the Browns
No.
in Japan,
Just the FromSoft guys. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's just the FromSoft guys, but I just thought that was really cool that it was right on topic for 2D Research Club, even if it's 3D.
Yeah.
It was right on topic with the anime of just it's cool to see an anime memorial for someone that passed in Elden Ring. It's a beautiful area.
Just when you thought the game couldn't get doper.
Yeah. I mean, the game is sick, man. We're not going to get into
that's for another episode right now. But
we're not even going to make an episode about that. But
I was thinking, I'm like, what? If 2D, we're a little bigger in that. So I was thinking, maybe we could just call it D Research Club. And then I thought a little harder about that. And I was like,
I'm down to research some D.
I was like, maybe not the D Research Club, because I'm sure that it's already an existing club.
It's just thematic. We are the 2D Research Club. But how many think about how many anime you've seen where the club that they are in don't have anything to do with their club activities or going shopping or going out to a cafe, and they never talk. I think the biggest one you'll get is a cult research club.
I was just gonna say the paranormal club.
They'll research paranormal stuff, and it'll be a horror kind of anime. But with most of the clubs they go to, think about the Nagatoro Art Club. I mean he paints 30 seconds of each episode.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is, I guess they're not in the club, but you get the point.
Yeah.
No big deal. Let's do the fucking
Snaggle 2. So, the pairing, the much anticipated, awaited pairing of. We've been drinking it for an hour.
Do we want to get a fresh one?
I'm still halves.
Oh,
so I'm going to keep running it.
I finished mine.
Yo, you get a freshie.
Right.
You go get a freshie right now. So I'll just run them through. You grab yours.
Run them through while I do my
I'm gonna run them through. So once again, Delahunt Brewing Co. from San Clemente, California. This is Fallen Skies, which is a double dry hopped West Coast double IPA. Ryan's the IPA guy. I'm not, but I'm liking it. I mean, this is an 8.4%, so it's pretty beefy. Let's see if I could get a little description on the back here. So, due to the increase on a moon's pull on an atmosphere, planets that lose orbit experience these fallen skies and increased debris fall along rising swell. Sorry, the mic's kind of in front of my field of vision here, so that's why I'm reading so poorly. This Imperial West Coast IPA was brewed with American and English malts, giving it a balanced malt profile. We then hopped it up using Galaxy, Strata, Centennial, Citra, Yukonaut, giving it tasting notes of blended tropical fruit drinks, key lime pie, tangerine coolers, the 7-Eleven slushy on the right, and Fune drives through pine fields. So that's quite a description. So
you don't find that on a Keystone Light.
You don't find that on a Keystone Light, but I almost feel bad because it's I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be total surprise, but we literally talked about one fucking anime pretty much the whole time. You should have guessed by now. This is being paired with Jobless Reincarnation, but I guess you didn't know why, huh?
Ooh.
You're probably wondering, why would we put Fallen Skies with Tensei? Well, I'll tell you. So, one of the pivotal plots in Tensei is that they have a giant catastrophic mana disaster. Everyone gets transported. They're all looking up the sky. Oh, the sky's so pretty. Bomb! Everyone's fucked. Fallen skies. That just kind of reminded me of it. I was looking at the artwork here, you know.
It also, like, the landscape outside of the sky is very reminiscent of the Demon Continent.
Exactly.
So I think again, you know, you've just taken something and made it work. It functions. And it's a great fucking beer.
Because I'm not going to go through, and be like, oh, the taste reminds me of this character on this one. Simply, it was just the concept overall, the art on the can. But we've been sipping it a bit, so I think we could give a little insight to how it's been tasting.
You know, for a double IPA, I am an IPA guy, but I think double IPAs are a little too much.
Right.
But I didn't even know it was 8.4%.
Yeah.
That's why I feel the way I do after only one of them. After this second one, I think I am going to end up passing out on the bathroom floor. I'm not going to do that, but it's got a really good flavor. It goes down easy. It goes down just as easy as your easiest like hazy IPA or just a regular West Coast IPA, but it's got that 8.4% of the double IPA, so you can drink one or two of these, not get too bloaty. If you're going to drink 30 Coors Light to get to this level, I would much rather just sip on a good beer or two. And this has got a really good flavor to me. But, as per usual, you're the sour guy. I didn't like the sours, but you said you were going to be on the other end. How do you like it? As far as double IPAs go, though, this is a really good tasting one.
So, there are exceptions. Like, I'll say I wouldn't grab an IPA normally. There was a period of time I did. I had a little phase with it, but I did like doubles, like the Executioner from Black Plague. I do like IPAs that are on the fruitier side. So it's that metallic hoppiness that always kind of hits you, the first get-go. And that's like sometimes like, I don't know if I like it. I kind of like it, but I do like Voodoo Ranger. And I've mentioned that before. I do like the juicier IPAs. And this kind of falls under that category, but it's not so juicy and cloying and sweet that it's like sickening where you have to like set it down like, oh, I just had too much beer. Some IPAs do that for me. But for this one, it's very easy on the palate for being as potent as it is. And that metallic kind of dry hoppiness is there. But especially for a double, it's a little more toned down. So I could appreciate that.
I was going to say, like, that's the biggest thing, too, especially for a double IPA. Because usually a double IPA will give you, it's the reason why it's too much for me is because it's just that metallic flavor.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that kind of foamy richness of hops, that bitter taste you get in the drink. But this, for being a double, like, if you poured this and told me it was a hazy, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
And generally, hazies are the ones that, like, I'll get a hazy when I'm not really feeling like making an effort to drink my beer.
Right.
I'll drink those because they're sippers. They're refreshing to me. An IPA, though, is something that's, I don't drink it because I want to be refreshed. I drink it because I can take one drink and it gives me all the flavor, makes me feel good. I can drink one IPA over the course of an hour, obviously. It's been about an hour and I finished that one. I don't have to sit there and play King's Cup with Keystone Lights, and drink 16 of them to feel anything. But
right.
These are fucking good.
They really are good. And I mean, I would reach for one again, even though I'm not an IPA guy, just because I get nerdy with this stuff, but it's not a linear beer. It's very complex where you taste a lot of different things, but I couldn't put my finger on a single one of them. It's like every sip, I'm like, this reminds me of something, and I can't tell you what it is. And I like that about craft beer.
It definitely tastes like a good hazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. This is something I could definitely drink at any point.
And it's potent.
Yeah.
Which is nice because it is a sipper. So, if you know, catch a little something, a little bit of a buzz, You don't have to throw a ton back just to get there.
If I just want to get a little buzzed, like on a work night or something, I want to take a bath, maybe read a little bit or just do something and just get a little buzz, I can have one or two of these and be fine.
So
by the end of the second one, I am cashed out 8 to 10 hours, get my beauty sleep, wake up and go to work. Like this is going to put me right where I need to be relaxation wise.
So overall, this was a good grab. I got to say kudos to Delahunt for making something like this.
Yeah.
Shout out to the plug, the boy, Emilio. He was the one that actually put me onto this. He owns a liquor store out in Oceanside, California. It's called One Stop. Check it out if you're in San Diego County area. But I was just looking for things to pick up for the channel, and he's like, hey, you need to check this one out. You need to try it. And I'm glad he recommended that.
Send along my kudos to Emilio. Tell him the IPA guy fucking loves it.
Yeah.
Because these are good. I have no complaints. I give it a 9 out of 10 just because I feel like 10 out of 10 is too much. But
yeah, that's something though. 9's that's stellar.
If I had more obvious reference, I would give this a 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
because this is it's great.
I give it a 7 purely because I just can't get past the fact that I'm not huge into IPAs.
Yeah,
but I could see why someone who does enjoy IPAs, like many people do, would rate this as a 9.
That's about the same. I rated the last sour a 7, like on a spectrum of like, if you enjoy sours, this has a really good flavor. I get it.
Yeah.
But, sours to me, they just hit my lymph nodes or something, like they swell up.
But the cool thing about this channel is it's an experience for us to where I'm hoping I'll kind of acquire more of a taste for an IPAs because I like trying new things, and I feel like the same thing, you might be like, hey, I kind of like this sour, So that's the fun part about it.
I think that's the big thing is like we've done a mead, a couple sours, and now an IPA
and a blonde.
Oh yeah, and a blonde, a strawberry blonde, which is little sour.
Yeah,
but it's nice. It gives us that reason to try new beers, to try new things. Like you taste a beer and try to relate it to an anime. It just makes the whole experience a lot more fun, rather than just going down to Circle K and being like, well, guess I'm getting my natty lights tonight.
Okay, you're still on that?
Yeah. It's like we can sit down, we can talk about some anime we've been watching, and we can try some new beers. It's a beautiful experience, man.
It's a beautiful thing. We have a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah.
So thank you for everybody that watches, listens, As we always say, please do like, comment, share, subscribe. If you found this enjoyable, if you like listening to this, if you'd like to hear more.
Yeah, also, I mean, if you've made it this far, like, if you have a beer or a drink, it doesn't have to be exclusive to beer. We're just beer boys. We do like our whiskey from time to time. But
we got the sober homies too, so,
If you, well, I mean, sorry, I wasn't going to bring up the sober homies. I was going to say more so if you, if you have a drink or a beer that you'd like us to relate to an anime, drop it in the fucking comments.
Oh, I thought you were going to say just grab whatever drinks in front of you.
No. Sorry. I do, if you are sober, I have nothing but respect for you, but I mean, I don't think you can offer anything for suggestion of what to pair an alcoholic beverage to an anime.
Well, on my bender, I really did, go for Keystone, but
back in my day, I really did enjoy Coors Light.
So, but yeah, just to reiterate what he said, yeah, we're open to any and all suggestions. We're stoked to try new things, so please drop it down below if you have anything you'd recommend. Just before we go, a quick plug and shout out to the tees. We're dripped out today. I gotta say, huge fan of Zombie Makeout Club. That's the shirt Ryan has on right now. The Send News anime girl with the skeleton ribs. You think you're going to get a shot of something else, but we just got some ribs there. It looks dope. Love the artwork. Got it hanging up on my wall. And then right here we have the K-On! Assumed tee by Ruff Simmons. This one's a little harder to get, but if you know, you know. So thank you again as always. Appreciate you guys. So stoked to be doing this. Episode 5. That's a milestone for us.
Oh, hell yeah. I completely forgot. Episode 5,
episode
dude.
5. Woo!
Your Band-Aid's
Yeah,
falling
there's
off.
a Band-Aid. That's for another episode right there. But
That's hell yeah, though. 5 episodes.
5 episodes,
Fuck yeah,
baby.
dude.
So stay tuned. See you guys later. Peace.